What's going on? What's going on? This is Darian Gray, and welcome to Out of Bounds, the post-game show. To my left is,
Ill Will, what's good with y'all, man? How y'all living tonight?
and y'all know what the deal is. We're here to talk about Texas Southern University basketball. And unfortunately,
Yeah, we ain't kind of two losses from the men's and women's side. We both had winning streak snapped. The guys with an 11-game winning streak snapped, and the girls with 5. And really, the same recurring theme to both of the teams, in my opinion, is shooting themselves in the foot. They made easy mistakes the whole game. Wouldn't you agree?
right, but we're going to get to the girls' game first. And what their mistake was, it was more of a attitude or energy. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but
Effort,
they were
really.
dominated
Yeah.
on the rebounding standpoint. It was 18-4, I believe.
Yeah, for offensive rebounds. Yeah. And they got 16 second chance points from those offensive rebounds, too. And that's what really killed the women at the end. Like, especially with the first quarter, they had a little sloppy start. Southern ran their zone against them, and it kind of put the pressure on the guards to make something happen. And ever since then, like, the girls really couldn't recover. And just, like you said, the rebounds, like, that was just the main killer for that team.
And what I really noticed is that on the rebounds, when they were trying to get offensive boards, it was like they were getting out hustled. And then when they were trying, when they were trying to get offensive boards, there was no one there. It's like the shot was up, and you have to have somebody in the paint in case it doesn't hit. Like, of course, we want to make every shot, but we know that's realistically not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So but when we were trying to get our defensive boards, it's like we were being out hustled, and they got so many offensive boards. And you mentioned that those 16 second chance points.
Yeah, that's
and that
the
was
main
critical.
thing. Yeah.
That was critical.
Yeah, the girls, like, and even with, like, losses like this, like, even though it was a bad loss, it's good to have losses like this early on instead of when the big games are, like during the SWAC tournament. It'll be better to get your losses in now so you can learn what not to do for the next game. So right now, I have faith in my women's team. I have faith they're going to make a run in the SWAC tournament. They got good players they could build around too. So just losses like this, they should just keep their head up and stride and just keep it pushing.
Matter of fact, we're going to cut over to Coach Hayes talking about what the girls going to have to face going into the SWAC tournament.
Tonight, we had a little breakdown, and that breakdown cost us that we cannot have that against a very good team in our conference. And Southern is a good team. Grambling will be a good team if that's who we're seeing possibly, I think. Jackson will be a good team. All those teams are going to be solid. You're going to have to be able to box out and rebound, especially against Jackson. Graham, you may be able to get away with it, but you got to defend because Kylie Hill's pushing that thing. She probably is our player of the year. I would assume that she is. So you're going against a player of the year in her group. And they were SWAC champs last year, just defending SWAC champs. So there's a lot of pressure there.
So we heard Coach Hayes talk about how all those teams are going to be difficult teams because it's the SWAC now.
Yeah.
And we're going up against Grambling. We're going against Grambling. They have what she considered will probably be the SWAC player of the year on the girls' team, Hill. I'm talking about she dropped the triple-double on us already. And as it stands, the two schools that we have yet to beat are Southern and Grambling. I don't know if it's maybe something about Louisiana, but they haven't been able to quite knock off those two teams, and now we have to try to not get swept completely against Grambling coming up in the SWAC tournament. And I think that something important was before we dig too deep into SWAC, because we're not there yet, is what happened this game. And before the game, I spoke to the assistant coach, and he mentioned about how we were going to try to drive to the hole, and they were going to collapse because that was the game plan. They saw Southern collapsing. And they did collapse, but the plan was to kick it out and shoot some threes. He expected Shelly to knock down 5 threes in the game. Unfortunately, things, it wasn't everything.
Yeah. Really, the main thing about the collapsing part, they kept Nye Mitchell out the game for a little bit during the first 2 quarters. Like, she had around, 6 points and 3 rebounds to start off with. Until the second half, she started getting going a little bit. And, most of the posts for Texas Southern, they were really having trouble to get past their zone defense because they kept collapsing the whole time. And it didn't help that the shooters were knocking down a lot. But one player that did kind of do pretty good off the bench was KK Turner. I'm sorry. Yeah, she pretty much stood out from the bench and kept the tempo a little bit. But really, though, that zone was really what killed them towards the end. They didn't know what to do with it.
And to Coach Hayes' point, she mentioned how, honestly, they were their worst enemy. Yeah. And I truly believe that because I want to say Southern is the top team in SWAC. They're the number 1 seed. And if you ask me, if Texas Southern wasn't making mistakes where it's like, wow, you really threw that ball, or come on, you got to knock down that. Or if, who you mentioned, we had some players out because of foul trouble, both Catherine O and Naya were both out because of that. If those things didn't happen, I truly think you could have seen another result. And the fact that all of those things were stacked against us,
Mm-hmm.
yet at the same time, we were able to almost pull it off against what is considered the number one team in SWAC. It makes me feel confident going into the tournament that, hey, we can compete and drop another banner.
Yeah, like I said, like during the tournament, like most of our losses this year, like when we had conversation with the coach, it's mainly them beating themselves, really. Like when it comes to the rebounds, the turnover, just execution of the offense, they really just beat themselves up. And I just feel like once they find their true groove, nobody can stop them. Absolutely nobody. So it's just up to them to just dig deep and find whatever they need to do to make a good run in the tournament.
Right. So now moving on to the men's team. And I look at the men's game. And the men's game was interesting because he started off with five of the guys. He had senior night, 5 seniors. It was senior night, it was very impressive not impressive. It was very important that he stressed, seniors. Like, this is the last time they ever step foot in this arena.
Yeah.
The guys not so much because they'll be playing here. The girls will be having the away game. But this is the last regular season game that you'll be having right here.
Exactly.
It might be the last. It could have been the last time that a lot of these seniors watched that these stands behind us were actually filled up. So it's important, and they started them out with 5 seniors. He said that could have messed up their rotation a little bit, but talk a little bit about the game and what you saw.
Well, here's my thing. Texas Southern, they lost to a completely beatable team. The only reason they really lost is one of two things: execution, giving up rebounds. Well, actually, no, I take that back. They kept up with them the whole game in rebounds, but execution was a huge, important part of the game. And their three-point assault that Southern did, it really caught them by surprise because they're not really known as a good shooting team. Like what Coach Jones mentioned in the post-game meeting, like their shooting wasn't really that good, but coming in the game, they were just hot, just busting threes everywhere. And Texas Southern didn't know what to do with it. Like
what?
One
I'm
dude,
talking crazy.
like
Lee
one
had
dude,
9 of them.
Yeah.
He had 9. All of his points came from 3 points and in 3 free throws, which I'm assuming came from those. I want to say came from a foul on the 3 as well. Asian 0. Can't leave at home to strap if you are Asian. He sure had it tonight. Not 30 points, but he averages 9. He averages 9.
See, that's what I'm saying too. This team is beatable.
The funniest thing is that you seen him running out of here. He was hyped, and I can't blame him. You're 6-24 on the season, and you come in and you're beating one of the better teams in SWAC, the highest scoring team, and you don't score a lot. So and you come up and put up points. So what do? You're hyped. You coming out here yelling, and you would have thought that they didn't have to come back Tuesday.
But they are?
I don't think they knew. I think they thought they was headed to Prairie View. They thought they was going to go.
That's exactly what they were thinking.
They about to hit 90. Nah, you coming right back here, right off 45, Scott Street exit. You can come and meet us right here on Tuesday. And I guarantee you there's going to be a whole different result.
Oh, they're going to get smacked. Simple and plain. They're going to get smacked.
It's going to be a whole different result. Yeah, but we didn't play our best game. Jeremy Combs played fantastic.
They played great defense on Combs in the first half, but he really saw it come alive in the second half. But it was a little too late by then.
I want to say he shot less than 25%.
Yeah.
Most of his damage came from free throws, but when it came to shooting, he couldn't buy a bucket with a pocket full of 20s.
Yeah, just like we mentioned with the women's too, the men also ran a zone too as well. Like that's one of the things that really killed our big man. Well, except for Trayvon Reed, he did whatever 24. He wanted in the post, but then again, he needed help. So at the end of the day, he always needed help. And
really, for the most part, on the scoring side, it was just limited. It was very limited, and I don't see that happening once again. But we're gonna take a break and talk about one of the highlights from the game.
Oh yeah,
was the referee. And the referees, let me rephrase that. Both teams were visibly frustrated. And Coach Jones was like, by the end of the game, he was waving them off like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it was.
But the Southern coach,
I never seen a coach square up with a ref, and the ref didn't give him no tech whatsoever. Like, I can't believe it. Can you not believe it?
It was ridiculous, but somebody said it because he knew he was in the wrong. But I said, wow. And the ref kind of he didn't initiate, but he instigated the contact. He waved towards the floor like it's nothing but space and opportunity. Like, we can do it. And then he walked up to the coach, and then the coach wasn't backing down. And I just felt like there was no technical, there was no order, and that was significant. It was significant because it signified how the rest of the game would go. And there was a lot of order. There was a lot of stoppage. Like, we don't know what's going on. And that kind of chaos was just kind of weird for the last game.
The flow of the game can't go properly after that. Like, with all those stoppages and stuff like that. I kind of see what you mean by that.
Exactly. So it was just odd. You couldn't stop it. And it was highlighted by, the referees. I thought they were about to, I'm saying? I'm about to call Michael Buffer. Like,
let's get red on one ball.
But unfortunately, I mean, well, fortunately, it didn't get to that. But unfortunately, the team did not come away with the victory. And they snapped an 11-game win streak that was very dominant. But I'm hoping they can bounce back. And the team has preached level 5. I know you heard a lot of the team talk about that.
Yeah.
So I asked Coach Jones what that meant to him and what that meant leading into SWAC. So let's hear what his answer was about that.
Well, certainly you have to be a level 5, and that means that you're at a championship level if you're there. But you've got to be there every second, every play, where we were not tonight. And we've got to make sure that we put ourselves in position going into this tournament because of everything magnifies, and we've got to make sure that we're better.
So we heard what Coach Jones had to say. The interesting note that I forgot to mention before we, cut to his clip was that I said it last time that 11 for 11 is what the team was on that win streak with Tariq Armstrong.
Yeah.
Armstrong sat out this game and they lost. It could be a coincidence. Coach Jones mentioned that as well, but they had a lot of players who were more capable. But I just thought it was a funny thing to note that he kind of stepped out and we missed his presence. We missed his presence.
He's one of the better vocal leaders of the team. Like from what Coach was explaining, like he's one of the people that gets the teammates going, like puts a fire on the people to make them play hard. And I feel like once Tyreek comes back in the SWAC tournament, they will not be stopped. And especially Southern, like we played them Tuesday, right?
Right.
Is this camera on me? Texas Southern will not lose to them again. That was a bad loss tonight. I don't know what happened, but I guarantee you this: Texas Southern will not take another L from that team, nor in the SWAC tournament. We're going all the way, baby. All right, you heard it here first.
He said it.
I believe it.
And it's going to happen. So we're speaking things to existence down here. I'm very superstitious. You know what I'm saying? So I believe in speaking things into existence. So hopefully that's what happens here. And I've been Darian Gray.
All right, Ill Will, what's good with y'all? We'll catch y'all later, man.
This has been Out of Bounds, the post-game show.